What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Purple Huddle podcast. The off season is over. We've had a week to see our teams on the gridiron, even if it's only for the preseason, but the regular season, of course, less than 30 days away. Kevin, he can't be with us, but Durp and I will hold it down. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much. Ready for this, ready for September 7th, and I think it's 13th or something like that, some whatever the first Sunday is.
Yeah.
Can't come fast enough. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. I was literally just talking about that with Mike the other day. Like, can't wait, see how things are gonna go, especially after seeing I'm watching a bunch of the Cowboys practice and stuff, and they're getting into it. There's been two fights today at practice alone, so I'm ready for them to take that anger out on other teams, not on ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned the when you sent about Mark Andrews. I had no idea what had gone on, and decided to Google and everything. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, in a joint practice, you
Yeah,
expect you
yeah, yeah,
expect it,
definitely,
especially those two teams. You don't get to see
definitely,
each other that often, but it's like who's going to be, that what do they call it, the battle of the Beltway?
for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't want to see it in just regular team practice like you said. So,
Yeah, I just seen a video. Of Micah, he slapped our center Biotish like three
ooh,
times, and he had a helmet on, but yeah,
starting center.
yeah, Tyler Biotish.
Okay,
Yep, they
damn.
um I seen the video of y'all fighting or whatever, and they were showing Justin Tucker. He put his helmet on. He was ready for some action,
He need to go back in the damn opera room. That's where he need to go. So sit down. We can't afford him getting hurt. Shit,
man.
I have to look that up because I ain't see that. I mean, he has been known to make some tackles out there on special teams, on some block punt kicks or whatever, but uh and kickoff returns. But yeah, he need to just go on back to the opera room. All
Shit.
right, everyone, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying shit. He's hitting 60 yarders in preseason like it's
Yeah,
nothing.
yep.
Must be nice. We don't know who our kicker's gonna be. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel you. I feel you. All right, we're gonna break down the American Football Conference, known as the AFC. Before we talk about the teams, we got some of the key additions and subtractions in the AFC over the summer. Of course, A Rod headline the American Football Conference. He was traded to the Jets from Green Bay. First season in the AFC. Jalen Ramsey, he's joined the Dolphins down there in South Beach. Pat Peterson, he's in the Steel City now. Ravens, my Baltimore Ravens landed OBJ. Finally got some help at the receiver position for LJ. D Hop, he joins the Teen Titans on a 2-year deal. The Texans, they grabbed Niners defensive coordinator and former player for them, longtime player, D'Amico Ryans is now their head coach. Kind of homecoming for him there. The world champion Kansas City Chiefs, they lost their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. Um, he went to Washington, and now Andy Reid will call plays out there for Patrick Mahomes and company. And staying out west, the Chargers, they added Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator. Just a couple of highlights for the AFC. uh, we'll see if he redeems himself from that last play in the divisional round. So yeah, we also had three massive quarterback extensions during the summer. Of course, in the NFC East, Durp's division, Jalen Hurts, he got paid, but in the AFC, Justin Herbert, he's now the highest paid signal caller, followed by one Lamar Jackson. All right, so let's start with the AFC East. Last year finished with Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the Jets in that order. How do you see this division panning out?
I don't know, man. This division's kind of one of those divisions. I think it's gonna be where if you don't win 10 games, you might not even make the playoffs, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
AFC. But I know 7 teams go now, but this division is gonna be like every game's gonna matter. Week 3 games are gonna matter for seeding when it comes to this division.
Yep.
I think the Patriots finished last. Mike, I'm sorry. You can tell Mike or tell Megan I'm sorry, but I'm sure she already knows it. I think they'll finish last. It'll still be something respectable. I think it's still the Patriots. I don't. They'll probably win around maybe 7 to 9 games or something like that. And they're talking about maybe Belichick's on the hot seat, but Robert Kraft is never going to go to Bill Belichick and say, "Hey, you're done." He'll just be like, "Hey, bro, can you just be done?" Like
Mhm.
I don't want to have to publicly fire Bill Belichick. Um, and then from there, I think it's just a race to see. I think it'll come down to who can stay the healthiest and who can play the best down the road towards the end of the season. Um, After, like I said, all those games that'll matter come down, week 16, 17 for the seeding. I think that this is the Bills division to lose. I think that they're very stacked. I know the Jets have added all these pieces and everything, but they still have Josh Allen at the end of the day. I think James Cook is going to surprise a lot of people. Their defense is still very stacked. They still have Stephon Diggs, a plethora of offensive weapons, um, and a very good head coach in Sean McDermott. I think the Jets will probably end up finishing second just because I don't see Tua staying healthy the whole year. I think if Tua misses one, maybe 2 games, then they might have a chance for it, but I just don't see that happening. Not that he's injury prone, it's just that he seems to, especially last year, he gets he came in from Alabama with a hip injury, and then he comes in, he gets the really bad concussions, and a concussion is nothing to play with. So I think if he goes out and even bumps his head a little bit after all the scrutiny they got, they might pull him for a game or whatever. That's
Yeah.
just a guess. Um, and like I said, with the Jets, it's like somebody's playing Madden franchise mode, and they're just going to the free agents and just, oh, you want to come over here? You want to come over here? You want to come over here? Like getting Dalvin Cook is such overkill when you already have
Yeah.
Brees Hall. You already have
Yep.
Brees Hall. Like that running back room, when Brees Hall is healthy, is just going to be ridiculous. Like,
Hmm.
and then you have Aaron Rodgers, one of the best play callers, one of the most talented arms going out there and throwing the guys that he knows. The Allen Lazards, the Randall Cobbs. You can count them out if you want, but Randall Cobb, if number 12 was back there, well, it's 8 now. If number 8's back there throwing the ball to him, he's gonna get open.
For sure.
And McCole Hardman, and then like I said, you haven't even talked about the defensive side of the ball yet. They'll probably finish as anywhere from a top 3 to top 5 defensive unit this year. So this division is completely stacked. But for right now, I think it goes Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots.
Okay. I'm pretty close to that. I'm gonna have the Bills winning that division. I think until somebody takes it from them, it's still theirs. The Dolphins at 2, Jets at 3, and Patriots at 4. Last time I checked, Josh Allen, them guys are still there. I think last year he took just a slight bit of a step back. Um, but I think that was mainly because he lost his offensive coordinator. Of course, Brian Daboll went to New York,
Right.
and I think with year 2, with I can't remember the offensive coordinator up there. That was just Ken Dorsey, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy up there
Yeah.
calling plays. Year 2, it'll be similar to when he was a rookie heading into year 2. You know what I'm saying? He'll get used to it, all that kind of stuff. As he was later in the year last year, he started to progress. Um, the Dolphins, you add a guy like Jalen Ramsey to have a pair of elite corners. I know he's down right now, but what I'm saying, we're just talking about health wise, everybody
Right.
100%. That's what we're looking at. To add up there with was it Jalen Phillips, I believe, the defensive end pass rusher linebacker they have
Yeah.
um down there, the young guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then offensively, of course, we all know they can score up anybody. My Ravens learned that in week 2 last year, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to
So,
bring it up.
yeah. So, give me the Dolphins to finish second with that offense there and the guys they added in the secondary, or the guy they added in the secondary, one of the best to do it. Um, I'm not much on the hype train. That's the Jets. You know what I'm saying? I know you have some very valid points, and I definitely agree. I just think that it'll take some time. You know what I'm saying? I know they have a badass defense. What, they finished top 5 last year, if I'm not mistaken. I love me some Aaron Rodgers, one of my favorite quarterbacks to ever watch, to ever play all time. Um, but again, I think it's going to take some time to find their footing, and by that point, I believe that Buffalo or Miami will have secured that division um, title by the time they, get rolling on all cylinders. And it's hard to believe that have a Bill Belichick coach team finishing last. Another talented defense up there, man. Always has been good under him. And you add in the rookie Christian Gonzalez. I know he got picked on early in the preseason game last week, but I think we could potentially see a repeat defensive rookie of the year in this division. I really like Christian Gonzalez there. Um, there with Bill Belichick there in Foxborough. But of course, everybody's concerns with New England is that quarterback and the wide receivers. Yeah, Juju Smith is there, but is he really enough? You know what I'm saying? They need receivers. I think everybody knows that that they need receivers. Like a couple years ago, they added 2 tight ends in free agency. I think it was Hunter Henry and somebody else. But
Mike Gesicki.
oh yeah, they did get him right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he just came there this past off season, right?
Yeah.
Like this will be his first year. Yep. Okay. So they've always been adding these tight ends, but they've never really added wide receiver. You get Juju, yeah, fresh off a Super Bowl win. We know that he can be consistent, but he's not a number one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At least in a lot of people's eyes. But
Yeah.
and then you talk about mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? He definitely. I thought for sure he was going to take a step back last year when Josh McDaniels left to go to Denver, Vegas. Um, but Bill Belichick did his quarterback no good having a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach calling plays.
Yeah.
Now, flash forward to now, we got Billy O'Brien back in the saddle. Will that help? They both was at Alabama for a short time. Of course, you know, Billy O'Brien worked with Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's a different, whole different animal than mac and cheese.
Right.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Zappy is under center by week 8,
Yeah.
honestly, for sure. So yeah, that's how I got them finishing off. Unfortunately, Patriots at the bottom, Jets 3, Dolphins 2, and the Bills taking another AFC East crown. All right, on to my division, known as the one of the more physical divisions in football, the AFC North. Durp, your mom loves the Ravens, but will you see a first place finish for Baltimore this year?
No, Mom. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, Brandon.
Understood. No, I agree.
But I have y'all finishing second in the division as long as y'all can stay healthy.
Mhm.
I think that much like the AFC East, I'm not ready to give it to anybody else until somebody takes it from the Bengals, you know. And as long as they have
Mhm.
Joe Cool back there, as long as they have Jamar Chase, you know,
Absolutely.
they improved their defense this year. They got T Higgins, they got Joe Mixon, even if he is trying to beat up little kids or whatever in the off season. You got it's a really solid team. I think their problem always seems to be is protecting Joe Burrow, and I feel like they put a lot into doing that and keeping him upright. Orlando Brown and all this other stuff, and
Yep.
yeah, they. I didn't realize, so far every quarterback that he's blocked for has won an MVP. So
Wow.
uh, he
Yeah.
could end up doing that, yeah, with Lamar and with Pat Mahomes. So I think that them improving the offensive line there, keeping him upright is what you need to do. They're a well coached team. They have probably one of the best rosters from top to bottom, and then like I said, I have y'all finishing second as long as y'all can stay healthy. I think that getting Zay Flowers, even though he is a smaller guy, that's usually what y'all seem to go for here lately. But
Mhm.
from what I've seen, like the joint practice, even like the y'all's practices, they saying that he's just getting separation after separation. I knew that he was one of the best route runners coming out in this draft, but they're saying that he's showing off, and he's the clearly the best receiver practicing or in
Yep.
the preseason so far, for y'all, even with OBJ there. So that speaks volumes. I see a lot of people that are hating on J.K. Dobbins lately, and I don't understand why. Because I mean, he came out, had a stellar rookie year, then he got hurt, and he came back too early. Let's admit it.
Mhm.
Came back too early, rushed himself back, and then he got hurt. Now he's rested up. Y'all were going through this contract thing or whatever, but he doesn't really have any leverage. So I think they said that he's off the pup list and everything. He's ready to go. So as long as y'all got him and Gus, y'all have a dynamic running game to go along with this new offensive coordinator who wants to open it up. Your defense is good. So I think that there's a clear number 2 for me in this division. And then I think that the Browns they want to become, up in that tier with y'all, but they don't really know how to, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But I think that they will have one of the best defenses this year. With getting pairing Myles Garrett with Zadarius Smith is going to be ridiculous. I don't know why the league let that happen, but I think that they're gonna wreak havoc. I think they're gonna do exactly what everybody thought was gonna happen when Jadeveon Clowney was there, and then they have a secondary to go along with it. I think this will come down to if Deshaun Watson can look like Deshaun Watson before he discovered massage parlors, or now. Because when he came back, he was not looking sharp. He was not looking good, which is understandable for how long he's been off the football field. So I think it'll come back to down. A lot of it'll come down to quarterback play for them and head coaching. And then speaking of head coaching, we go to the Steelers, who Mike Tomlin, my favorite coach in the league. It sucks that he plays. He's been coaching for the Steelers for so long, but I have a utmost respect for this man. He's never finished below 500 and all that. We've heard it a million times.
Yep.
When it comes to this team, I think it comes down to the most important thing for the Steelers is keeping T.J. Watt on the field. I seen a graphic, and they're like, without him, they're like 1-8 or some shit. But with him, they've won like 20 some games or something. So he is pivotal to being for them to have success this upcoming season. I think that's number one, and number two is Kenny Pickett needs to take another step. I'm not a firm believer in him at all. I don't like a lot of quarterbacks that wear two gloves unless your name's Kurt Warner. So for me, he's got to take a step up. I've heard that he's put on like 10 pounds in the offseason. He's been working really well with his receivers. They've got really good ones down there, a good tight end in Freiermuth. So I think that they are teetering on being a really good team again, or maybe having to take a step back and look at things. But as of right now, I got it: Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers. How do you feel about this division, Brandon?
Yeah. So, I'm in our picks league, I will pick the Ravens just about every Sunday, every week. But I am not picking us to win this division this year for sure. I'm not that crazy. Okay. It is the Bengals division, no matter what. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow went down in practice, but we all believe he'll be back for week one. He probably wasn't going to play in the preseason anyway. Even him at 50 or 75%, I still have them, coming out the gate and proving that it's their division early and often for sure. You can't go wrong with Jamar Chase and them guys up there. You still got Joe Mixon. Yeah, they lost P. Ryan, but what I'm saying, long as you got number 9 back there and his buddy from LSU, Mike, shout out to Mike. He loves them LSU guys. They're gonna be winning this division. Baltimore, I have us number 2, but I think it could easily fluctuate with the Steelers. I think both teams are right there hand in hand. In almost in the same, I think the only thing offensively that puts us ahead of them is Lamar Jackson. I'm not a big, as you said, fan, firm believer in a sense of Kenny Pickett, but I do think he'll take a step forward. You can't go wrong with Pickens, Freiermuth, Najee Harris out there. And defensively, as you said, TJ Watt, keeping him healthy, being out there, he's a monster, man. That first game last year, the entire defense, but himself, he was my pick for defensive player of the year. And I think if he hadn't got hurt, he probably could have secured that. And, you still got Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. You add the veteran Patrick Peterson. And, like you said, as long as Tomlin's there, they're pretty much going to have a at 500 record or higher. And of course, now with the 17 games, you either at or, you either there or you're not. So,
right.
Yeah, I think Baltimore, it looks good, what I'm saying, but I got to see it. What I'm saying? We start every year. It seems like we come out the gate and we win, I would say, the first 3 of the 4 games, and we're on a high, and we sometimes can be at the top of the conference. And then comes that middle of the season where the offense just stalls and it never fails. Defensively, we know that just about 1 or 2 games we're going to get torched. And it's just, it always happens. We're thin at corner right now. I think I was a fan of Marcus Peters, but at the same time, he used to bite so much and he want to take them risk plays and we used to get burnt. And not that Marlon Humphrey didn't get burnt either because it happened for sure. But we'll see how, Rocky Sin, I think his name is, came over from the Colts. I think that was the last team he played for.
Yep.
We'll see how he did. I know we have 2 young corners that we drafted last year. I'm hoping the best for them because I really do like those guys. It'll be good to see Marcus Williams back out there 100% because he's an interception machine. And hopefully that Kyle Hamilton can, come into his own form. And looking at the linebacker position, I think we definitely have some stout linebackers. We drafted Simpson out of Clemson in the 2nd round, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd round, something like that. And to go along with, of course, Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. But I think Patrick Queen is going to be on the outskirts at some point this year. I think the rookie will overseat him there in the middle linebacker position. But my main concern with us is left guard and pass rusher. I don't think we've done enough to address those positions. I didn't think left guard was going to hit us. I didn't even know that old boy was a free agent, and I think he signed with Denver, if I'm not mistaken, or Carolina, if it's one of them teams. Huh?
Who's that?
I think it was Patrick McCarry, if I'm not mistaken. Or McCarry's still there. Bozeman, one of them damn guys. I can't remember. But our left guard is gone either way. And then you already talk about Ronnie Stanley. He can't stay on the field to save his life. God bless him, but he's a liability out there. We just never know when he's going to be on the field. But yeah,
Michael Orr sounds like he needs some money, man. Call him up.
Who's that?
Michael Orr.
Oh no, we good. I think he probably out of shape. I'm saying. I'll pass on that one. But I would take him over Alejandro Villanueva. As we all know, I don't like him. But yeah, I got Ravens at 2, Steelers at 3, but I think those could easily fluctuate. The Browns, I've never been on the hype train when they got Deshaun Watson. Watson is a bad quarterback, but we all know certain places, certain people go and their careers just go down. Yeah. Washington, Cleveland, used to be Jacksonville for a while, Houston, okay? And guess what? Cleveland was on that list. So very talented roster. I don't think they'll lose a step without Kareem Hunt. You know what I'm saying? They didn't bring him back, but they weren't really using him last year. We know Nick Chubb, he can pretty much do it by himself. They added in, of course, Amari Cooper's heading year 2 with them. They added in the guy, was it DJ Moore?
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, yep. So I think that'll help as well. I know that they're always going to play us well. The Browns always play us well, but I just don't. I think that the 3 other teams are just better than them. Yeah, you mentioned their defense, very, very stout defense there. They got Newsome on the back end. Those guys up there rushing the passer. Myles Garrett is always going to be in it for a long time. So, yeah, I see Browns coming in last. Steelers and Ravens could go either way, but I do think when it's all said and done, Baltimore will be at 2 and Pittsburgh at 3, and of course Cincinnati taking the North again. All right. Heading down south, Jacksonville, they shocked the world when they won their division last year, followed by Tennessee, Indy, and Houston. But a pair of top 5 picks are expected to start for at least 2 of those teams. And I think the Colts did. Was it the Colts that named? Or was that yeah, I think that was Carolina, I'm thinking, that named their starter.
They said Bryce Young, but I think that everything's leaning
leaning towards
Richard should start. I don't think you're gonna start Gardner Minshew.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I got it. Again, I think the Jaguars are going to win the AFC South. The Titans, the Colts, and the Texans. And it's funny because, like, in my notes, I put asterisks by each of those teams. And when I do that, it means that either of those teams could end up anywhere in those positions. So I have Jags first, Titans, Colts, and Texans. Yeah, even though I picked Jacksonville to win the South last year, they shocked me too. You know what I'm saying? It did kind of come down to the wire. Even though Tennessee dropped their last 7 games last year, they still had a shot to win it. So we all know under Mike Vrabel, they're going to be right there in it. But I think that you add in a Calvin Ridley to go along with everybody else on offense that they got, plus Travis Etienne as well. And then you have was it Evan Ingram at tight end?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yeah, Evan Ingram. So we all know that, you know, that Trevor Lawrence is gonna continue to make, steps in the right direction. And yeah, I got Jacksonville finishing number 1. And I hope that was it Trayvon Walker? Is that his name?
Yeah.
No, who's the Walker? Yeah. I hope that he, continues to make progress as well. I was very high on him, number 1 pick last year. But we'll see how that goes. But as for the remainder of the division, you know how I feel about the Titans and the Colts. But few quick things. I like the addition of Anthony Richardson, obviously, but most rookies take time. This is the if he, no matter who starts out in Indianapolis, I think this will be the 6th starting quarterback in 6 years to start on opening day for them. It's either 6 or 5 and changes in a row. That's outrageous. So, we'll see how it goes. They got a rookie head coach out there. We all know what JT can do. They got young receivers out there. I just, Indianapolis to me is always a team that gets hyped up every year and doesn't do anything, especially since the Peyton Manning. Even when Peyton Manning was there, like it was kind of reversed. They kill everybody during the regular season and then do nothing in the playoffs. But yeah, the Titans, they always have a chance with Mike Vrabel, as I said. Um, I can't give them my hope this year for 2 reasons. Ryan Tannehill, and looking back at the end of last year, they lost 7 straight games uh, to end the season. So until they find a stable quarterback, you know what I'm saying, a franchise quarterback, I don't see them moving forward. Houston, I got these guys as a sleeper team this year. I know it seems kind of crazy, everyone, but you had the former Pro Bowl linebacker turned defensive coordinator and the head coach, as I mentioned, D'Amico Ryans. I think he's going to have those guys ready to play. Um, they were competitive last year in just about every game except for 2 or 3, despite that record. I wouldn't be surprised they make a Jacksonville like jump, from how Jacksonville went from the bottom of the division to the top. But I don't think they'll get to the top. I would say second place at the highest, unless Jacksonville gets hit like with an injury bug. But I think they but they had they added your former tight end with Dalton Schultz. I know they lost Brandon Cooks, so basically just switched cities, those two. But yeah, I think definitely D'Amico Ryans he's meant to lead, and I think that plus he's bringing over one of the offensive coaches from the Niners. So, what I'm saying, you bring people with that almost that championship type pedigree, that winning pedigree, and I think that they'll be able to turn things around. So, as of right now, I still have them finishing 4th, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know it seems crazy if they make a leap into number 2. So Jags 1, Titans, Colts, and Texans. How you got it?
Yes, that's exactly how I think that this will unfold, unless the Jags do what the Jags do. And
Yeah.
recent memory. I mean, what was it,
Yep.
2017? I know that was a while ago, but not that long ago. At the same time,
Correct.
when they went 13-4, almost beat Brady and them in the AFC Championship, and then haven't done shit since. So I think this is like the most like it's yours to lose situation we've seen in a while, because I think it's like they're well and above. They got better coach, better quarterback, better running game, better everything across the board. So it's their division to lose. I think that we're just going to keep seeing Trevor Lawrence climb the rankings. I don't think the guy lost a he never lost a football game until what, week 1 of his NFL career. Like I don't think he ever lost
Yeah.
at Clemson or high school, or so. I think him having another year removed from that god awful situation he was in his rookie year, going in with Doug Peterson. Like you said, I don't think there's a lot of hype around Calvin Ridley, but I don't think a lot of people really remember how good he was at Atlanta. I mean,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
seen a thing they were talking to Devontae Adams, and he gave his top 5 receivers, and his fifth was Calvin Ridley. He was like, a lot of
Mhm.
people aren't going to like this, but it's Calvin Ridley, and I've heard a lot of them say that he has some of the best route running in the league. And especially you coming back and you're rocking the number 0, you gotta do
Hell yeah.
something. So I think that, like, once again, it's their division to lose. Um, I think, like you said, the Titans will finish second, but yeah, once again, just repeating everything that you said.
Excuse me.
But Mike Vrabel as their coach, I'm a believer in him. I think his time may be running out there if they don't start having more success and more postseason success. But I think that they just really need to just come out and admit it. Like, we don't know how to develop a quarterback, basically. Because
Yeah.
for you to have Ryan Tannehill, he came out a couple years ago. He threw 4 interceptions in that game, that playoff game, and then you go out and Malik Willis falls to you, who I'm a big fan of. He falls to you, and you basically do nothing to help this man's career, nothing to develop him, nothing. Even they were making jokes about how Ryan Tannehill was like, it's not my job to
Correct. Yeah.
help this guy out. And I think that Malik was just thrown out to the wolves basically and given no chance. So then you regroup the next year, and what do? You wait. Will Levis falls to you, so then you take him. And like, it doesn't make sense. So now you have like a love triangle of a quarterback controversy, because you can go ahead and you can start Ryan Tannehill all you want. We all know how that's going to end. And then once he struggles, then what are you going to do? You're going to give it to Malik Willis, or you're going to give it to Will Levis, and they're not going to be ready. So you can add D Hop to this team. It'll add another thing that teams have to worry about, because D Hop is still D Hop, and having Derrick Henry back there is always a threat. But
Mhm.
I just don't see them being able to overcome this quarterback situation. And the only reason that they're finishing second is because the teams behind them are that much worse. Like you said with the Colts, they can't figure out the quarterback situation even worse. Like you said, six quarterbacks in 6 years. The whole rent a quarterback situation where it's like, oh, you're completely past your prime. Bet, come play quarterback for us for 2 years. So they've been doing that, and then I do like Anthony Richardson. He's got a lot of comparisons to Cam Newton, who's one of my favorite players ever. But the difference is when Cam came in, Cam was bigger, stronger, faster than everybody. But Cam had a cannon for an arm. So
Yeah.
does Anthony Richardson, but he doesn't have touch or as much accuracy. It's just a lot of
Mm.
power behind it. So I think that's going to take time to develop. I do think that he's going to be, even if he doesn't throw for 3,000 yards his rookie year, I think he still will be up there for the offensive rookie of the year, depending on when they, like you said, when they start him. They have, now that Dan Snyder's gone, the Colts probably have the worst owner in the league.
Absolutely. Idiot.
For for him to come out and say, the stuff that he said about Jonathan Taylor, who's
Yep.
one of the best running backs in the league. And then from there, the team is really, it's wishy-washy. They have players here and there. Michael Pittman, a lot of people like him. I'm not so high on him. But I just feel like it's like Peyton Manning left forever ago, and, it's like you're still trying to figure it out. I know you had those couple years with Andrew Luck, but it's like, when's the last time you really feared the Colts,
Yeah.
And I think it's,
Mhm.
like I said, I think it's a situation of just missed picks and bad ownership and a revolving door at quarterback, at coach, whatever it may be. But as far as the Texans go, I have them finishing in the bottom. I think I can see what you're saying, for them to surprise people, because some teams are just completely counted out, and then they come in and they surprise, especially with a coach like they have.
Mhm.
But I just think that they don't have. I think they're moving in the right direction. I just don't think that they have enough firepower, offensively or defensively right now.
Mhm.
They haven't since Deshaun Watson was there, J.J. Watt and them. So it's been a while. I just think it'll be in this division. The Jags should run away with it, and if there's a race for anything, it'll probably be second. But
Yep.
yeah, for right now, that I got it finishing the same way that you do.
Gotcha. All right. Now to the division that's been owned by the Chiefs lately, the AFC West. Derp, you got anybody dethroning the Chiefs out there in Kansas City?
Patrick Mahomes still their quarterback.
Yep.
Andy Reid still their coach. Yeah, I think
Yep.
I'll I'll go ahead and put my money on that one. They've won it the last 8 years, 7 years,
Yep.
and they're just gonna keep on doing it. I do think that the Chargers are trying to nip at their heels. I think they'll finish second. Justin Herbert, I think, is one of the most talented quarterbacks we've seen come out in a long time, just off pure arm talent. The things that he's able to do, the angles that he's able to throw to his receivers. I think them going out and get Quentin Johnston is just an embarrassment of riches. Now you have Mike Williams to go
Mm-hmm.
jump out the gym and catch over everybody. You have Keenan Allen, one of the best, I think, for a while has been the best route runner in the league. Then you go and add a guy like him to take the top off the defense. You still have one of the most versatile running backs in the game with Eckler. Defensively, as long as their Bosa can stay healthy, Derwin, J.C. Jackson, Sante Samuel Jr., they have a very, very good squad. It's just a matter of, okay, it looks good on paper. Now, what's been holding us back? And I think what's been holding them back is their coach, but we'll get to that
Yeah.
in a moment. Um, then I think that the Broncos country rides in the third place here. I think Russ has a bounce back year. I think he plays much better, but I don't see them even sniffing a chance to win this division. They have, probably one of the best defensives in the league, but with PS2 back there and all that, in their secondary, I just don't see it being enough to overcome the Chargers, let alone the Chiefs. And then fourth, I got it being the lonely Raiders. Downgrading from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo is wild. I don't think people realize how decent Derek Carr has played while he was
Yes.
down there,
Yep.
while dealing with all the shit that he was dealing with for 10 years. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and Devontae's talking about he wants to be out. Josh Jacobs has this whole situation. I still don't think he signed his franchise tag. I think that last time they seen him in Vegas, he was leaving Vegas. So you go
Damn.
and you get rid of Darren Waller, which makes absolutely no sense. Thank you for giving him to our division. Uh, Hunter Renfro, he had that really crazy year where he looked like the dude coming of Wes Welker, and then last year he just completely disappeared off the map. So I think that this team has way too many questions and way too many what ifs and way too many mistakes in the past, and it's all starting to catch up with them because I don't think they have a person that they've drafted on their team for the past 6 years or something like that, 5 years. They miss on every draft pick. I think Josh Jacobs is the only one that came back after the rookie contract. So they have I they have way too much going on over there to even worry about winning this division, let alone winning 4 games.
Yeah, Mike Mayock should have just stayed at NFL Network when they hired him as a general manager out there. It was
Yeah.
just a mess. um, yeah, I'm right there with you, top to bottom, exactly the same. Kansas City, Los Angeles, Denver, and the Raiders. I mean, no doubt in my mind, Kansas City will get it done again. I just think they need to get Chris Jones in the camp. This guy was one of my favorites to win Defensive Player of the Year last year. Um, he's not in, right? Just making sure I'm not
No, not yet.
off. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so yeah, they got to get him into camp because I mean he's a difference maker out there for sure. Chargers, they always win games, but down the stretch they always find ways to lose games as well. You mentioned the wide receiver they drafted, Quentin Johnson. I really like him coming out there playing with Herbert and those guys, along with the stellar talent they already have. Plus, you mentioned Bosa as well, Derwin James, Sante Samuel Jr. I was putting my notes together. I even forgot about J.C. Jackson. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys are just loaded out there. Um, uh, Los Angeles, they definitely shouldn't take a step back. It's again, like you said, I think it'll be the coach situation. And now that they got a new offensive coordinator, you can kind of blame him too if they take a step back. So,
When in doubt,
but
blame Kellen. Kellen,
yeah.
that's all you gotta do, man.
All right, taking out to the Mile High. This is another team that every year they hype up the Broncos and then they let a lot of people down. I remember when they got Russell Wilson last year, and people thought Nathaniel Hackett was going to come over there and they was going to just run people over, and then we just saw right out the gate they didn't barely could move. You know what I'm saying? It was just bad. But I love Sean Payton, but I don't think Russell Wilson was the problem last year. Again, I think he'll get back to some of that form that we've seen in some of his good years in Seattle. It's just that Kansas City and Los Angeles, they're just better teams, obviously. So I think they'll improve, but it won't be enough to get them where they need to be. And I think they already had some key injuries as well in training camp. A couple guys or receiver that's out for the year. So, which they already had receiver problems last year too. So it's kind of like another dagger in the back. But yeah, the Raiders, man. uh, you know, Darren Waller's gone, Derek Carr's gone, like you said. They never draft good, but I mean, you do have Devontae Adams, so I mean, I guess that's the one high point. And then the pass rush they got out there, can't go wrong with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Raiders, it might be ugly and fast out there in Vegas for sure. I mean, the only good thing you can say about Jimmy G, he wins games, but it's not looking good out there for them. So yeah, I think it's gonna be Kansas City, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders at the bottom. All right. We both mentioned a couple coaches earlier when we was talking, so now we're gonna talk about which coach we feel like has their job on the line heading into 2023 season. I'm sure you have the plural side of that, and I'm sure you have multiple. So let's pick your brain on it.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on two of them. For me, I think I have three of them who I think could potentially be fired midway through the season if things don't start off hot. My first one, number one on the list, is Josh McDaniels. We just talked about him. I don't know why this man leaves the Patriots. I don't know why. It's like a baby bird who can't fly, but it just keeps jumping out the nest. Like, just stay where you're good. Go be the offensive coordinator in New England. Call a couple screens, couple halfback tosses, and you'll be okay. Lean on that defense. The man, I mean, he's 6-11. Haven't made the playoffs since he's been there. I think it's been a train wreck since he got there, and it's no different from the first time he tried coaching with the Broncos. It's just some people are good offensive coordinators and they can't cut it as a coach.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. My number two on the list, we also just spoke about, is Brandon Staley. 19-15, 0-1 in the playoffs. Last year just blew a 27-0 lead in the playoffs. So I think that seat's got to be hot as ever right now. We just sat here and listed players, so we were blue in the face that is on that roster that any team would love to have, especially having a talent at quarterback with Justin Herbert. Not a lot of teams have that. You got a top quarterback, a top running back, one of the best receiving cores in the league, a really good defense. So there's really no excuses. I mean, yes, you have to play the Chiefs twice a year, but you can, like Kevin says all the time, you got to play who's in front of you.
Yep.
Whether that's a good team or a bad team, that's just the straw that you chose. So you got to figure out how to get over that hump. I don't think necessarily he could get fired halfway through the year, but I think that if they don't make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs, then he's gone. If they don't make the playoffs, he's got to be gone. There's no way that he's not. And my third and final is Kevin Stefanski. I feel like when he first came to the Browns, they were looking at this man like he was the second coming of Jesus. He
Yeah.
was, they thought he was talking about rough football and all this other stuff and what he's gonna do, and and we haven't really seen it. He's 26-24, almost 500 since he's been there, 1-1 in the playoffs. Now he hasn't really, he hadn't had Deshaun Watson and all that, but me and you both know that team is still loaded with talent, defensively, offensively. One of the best offensive lines in the league. Top 5 running back, and Nick Chubb, who I personally think is either the best or the second best running back in the league quietly. Like you said, going in the second year of having Amari Cooper, you got a good tight end, David Njoku. it's just all in how you draw it up and how the cards are going to fall for you. But teams like the Browns or the Commanders or whatever, they're bad teams, and then somebody comes in and they don't win immediately, they kick you out the door. They don't really give you a chance to do it. So I think that if he's not able to turn this thing around or at least meet the hype that all everybody's coming with the Browns, I don't know if it's going to be possible to meet those expectations. But I say if they finish with anything less than 10, 11 wins, especially if they don't make the playoffs, then he's gone.
I agree. Those three guys, right on my list as well. But I'm gonna add two guys that one may seem very crazy, and the other one might as well because he's always in it every year. But I think it's just some added pressure this year. I think Robert Saleh there with the Jets. You talk about adding Aaron Rodgers. You just added Dalvin Cook, a bunch of other guys. I mean, that defense is top notch, but we just haven't seen it on offense. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the Zach Wilson situation was one of a kind. Um, I think they reached for him. I think a lot of people probably would agree. I think one good pass at the combine
Yes.
moved him up to what, number 2 or 3, wherever he was drafted at.
Yep.
But he should have stayed right at BYU or or, or they at the wherever that combine that private combine was. He should have just stayed right there. So yeah, I just think Robert Saleh is under a lot of pressure this year to perform. He had hard knocks there as well. He finished bottom of the division last year, lost 6 games in a row. Again, a lot of things were different last year. They had a quarterback carousel, what I'm saying, couldn't keep guys healthy. You do bring back, I love Brees Hall. I think he's going to be a great running back for them. And he was early on last year. Garrett Wilson's nice. You grab the guys from Green Bay out there catching passes for Aaron Rodgers. You grab CJ Uzama, if I'm not mistaken, he's out there. And again, that defense top notch. But it's just if they don't win, it's a lot of pressure on them. Even though they're in a division with Miami that lit it up last year, and Buffalo that's been running that division pretty much since Josh Allen has been there. I just feel like it's one of those situations where if they don't win, he could be on the chopping block. And then down the road in Tennessee, I think Mr. Mike Vrabel is on the hot seat as well. I thought he was on the hot seat last year as well. They lost 7 games in a row down the stretch. They haven't been able to figure out this quarterback situation. Yeah, it was maybe a year or two where um, Tannehill was playing decent, but it just hasn't worked out. You mentioned the fact that they pretty much let Malik Willis out there, the Pack of Wolves. You know what I'm saying? Then you go draft Will Levis, and it just what I'm saying, you don't have a good quarterback, you just can't win in this league. We all know that. And they just don't have a good quarterback, in my opinion. And yes, Derrick Henry's there. D Hop, it's all fine and dandy. He's there, but I don't think D Hop chose the Titans uh, for the reasons of we got a shot at winning the Super Bowl. He chose the Titans because he wants to play the Texans. We all know that.
Oh,
So
100%.
I mean, or the money, and it's I mean, yeah, I think it could crumble really fast. But yeah, I agree with you with Staley, McDaniels, and Stefanski. But I just wanted to add in Robert Saleh and Mike Vrabel, but definitely Kevin. I think Kevin Stefanski has been on the hot seat for sure since the moment they traded for Deshaun Watson. You get a guy to his caliber. Um, I'm saying the whole world. I heard some people talking about Super Bowls with them. You know what I'm saying? Not just Super Bowls. Okay, and yeah, he missed. Obviously the suspension last year, most of last year played a factor into it. But I just don't see them again. Certain teams and cities, you just go and it just don't work as far as talent goes and reciprocating in a new place. And I think that's one place with Cleveland. And again, it's very another tough division as well. You know what I'm saying? You got Cincinnati in the same state. You always know it's a physical game against Baltimore and Cleveland. I mean, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's just, there's a lot of stuff against his odds right now.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our look at the AFC. Next week it'll be the NFC. That's Durp's conference. So I'll definitely be paying attention so I can know who's going to be winning, and I can pick them in our picks league, and I can make a leap in myself. All right. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on IG before our next show. Until then, enjoy another week of preseason action, everyone.
Peace.